Hey guys, how are you all doing? I hope you are having a great and productive week. Today we have another reaction video. We will be reacting to the video titled Wheat Waffles Rated My Face Is It Accurate by the channel Playing with Fire. Now I am familiar with Wheat Waffles content, but I've only watched two videos from the channel Playing with Fire. I believe they were Tinder experiments and they were pretty entertaining. I love his approach to things. So I wanted to approach this video completely unbiased. I'm not gonna take any sides and we'll see if we're gonna have to respectfully agree or disagree here. As the second bestseller on Fiverr after Wheat Waffles, I feel like I'm more than qualified enough to react to this. Also guys, I have received your request to reveal the data of the ratings I have done so far. I'm gonna do a video on it once I hit the 1000 order mark, and I'm pretty close to hitting that goal. I'm almost at 900. Hopefully I will hit it by the end of the month. And I want to go in depth into that data. For example, what's the features that hurted people the most and stuff like that. Link will be in the description if you guys are interested in my services. Anyways, less talking, more reacting. Let's get this video started.
What's up guys, this video I'm going to share with you the results of my Wheat Waffles face rating. So I finally went ahead and got one of these. We're going to analyze what my sexual market value is and whether this report is legit or full of shit. Wheat Waffles is probably one of the most popular black pill YouTuber, and he has a paid service that he does where you basically send him your photos and he evaluates your face. And I'll be honest, I kind of thought this concept was a little cringe because like you're paying another guy to give you basically your score, how attractive you are. Like shouldn't you want to ask girls, right?
Now, this concept that only girls can determine if a man is attractive or not is simply not true, and let me tell you why. Attractiveness for the most part is not subjective. There are parameters that have been studied and can be studied that measures a person's attractiveness, and the four determining factors are facial averageness, sexual dimorphism, how youthful you look, and symmetry. Let me show you quickly a snippet of the things that I have to measure when working with someone. The list is long, and depending on the person's face, it can take more than an hour to rate for me. I want to make sure I am as accurate as I can be. And if women are the only ones that can determine men's facial attractiveness, then male plastic surgeons will run out of business. Because they study the same parameters to determine what to do to make a face look more attractive with surgery.
But I decided to go ahead because a lot of people were requesting this, and shout out to Wheat Waffles. He actually hooked me up with one for free. I didn't ask for a free one. I said, dude, I'll pay for it, no problem. But he was like, nah, don't worry about it. So that was very kind of him. So yeah. So we're going to take a look at my score. I'm going to give you my assessment of what he's saying. So the report goes like this. He says, to cut straight to the point, you're a 5 out of 10. Okay, these are your best features: equal facial thirds, blue eyes, positive canthal tilt, good eyebrow thickness and shaped jawline. Like some of this stuff is pretty cringe, like positive canthal tilt. Like what the fuck? Like a girl's looking at you, she's like, yeah, daddy, you got positive canthal tilt.
Okay, that was pretty funny. I'm not familiar with how Wheat does his ratings behind the scenes. When it comes to canthal tilt, for example, yes, a positive canthal tilt, deep set eyes, minimal amounts of upper eyelid exposure. When we have a lot of positive attractive traits combined in a face with minimal flaws, it results in a good looking face.
Good chin projection, good facial definition, low body fat, clear skin, thick neck. Okay, these are your worst features in the order of importance: oversized forehead, noticeable balding, significant facial asymmetry, particularly the nose, large mid-face ratio, okay, I don't know what that is, slight oddbacks and lower eyelid exposure. Gunnion isn't sharp enough, it's too rounded, undersized gunnion. Like some chick is like, yeah, you know, Alex, I was gonna go home with you, but your gunnion isn't sharp enough, right? I can't fuck a guy with this small of a gunnion.
Again, that's pretty funny. The mid-face ratio is the ratio we calculate to determine how compact the features are. Your eyes, nose, lips, etc. For example, a long mid-face is considered unattractive, and it is a pretty big flaw. That will cut down your score. As for the gonion, yes, it is desirable if it was noticeable and sharp, but in my opinion, you should be penalized more on it if you were clean-shaven, because the flaw will be more noticeable. But when you have a beard like yours, it does help camouflage the flaws in the jaw in general. From what I can see in the video, in my opinion, the balding, the eye bags and lower eyelid exposure, the major asymmetry in the nose are big flaws, while the rest have mild importance depending on the context.
So what do I think about his score? I think he's a little off. I think he's being way too harsh with the score. I think realistically, if I'm trying to be objective, I'll put myself at like a 6.5, maybe a 7. Kind of depends on who I'm competing with, right? But I think going lower than 6 is just like not really true. Like I'm 5'11", above average height. I'm in really good shape. I have blue eyes. You know, I am, I have a fairly symmetrical face. So yeah, putting me on a 5 out of 10 is just too harsh. And again, this is not coming from a place of ego. I don't really give a shit. Like if I legitimately thought I was a 5 out of 10, I would say it.
Now this is where I think the big misunderstanding happens. I believe that we rated him based solely on the face. Your height, build and status were not factored in the general score. And as a seller, people do ask me sometimes to include in things such as height, build, ethnicity, and status. It really depends on the request of the buyer at the end of the day. Now face-wise, yes, the flaws that you have do put you in the average range, which extends from a 5 to a 5.75. You know, the pictures that I found of him where he is dressed well, got glasses, his status shows, body, etc. And with the right angles, yes, the score does go high into the 6 range with a possible 7 depending on the picture. This also explains his success in dating sites such as Tinder. But just pure face without anything else, yes, you are in the 5 range.
And that's kind of the pattern I noticed with Waffles' face rating. He's too harsh. Like, he rated John Anthony a 3 out of 10. And regardless of what you think about John Anthony, I think it's a pretty fucking big stretch to say that he's a 3 out of 10. Like, that guy's at least going to be like a 6 out of 10 because he's 6'4", he's jacked, he has tattoos, right? So it's like... Yeah.
Again, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree. Face-wise, from the look of it, this Anthony guy is below average. He does have a lot of critical flaws with high body fat percentages. I don't believe he comes nowhere near a 6, but his potential for improvement is good. Also keep in mind that this is what people pay us for. We need to be as analytical as possible.
I think that's the big issue. He's just going way too overly nerdy analytical on these face ratings, and it's just like kind of lowering everyone's score, which I think is actually negative because let's say you're a guy who's not that attractive. Like, I consider myself slightly above average looks, but let's say you're a guy who's slightly below average looks. Maybe let's say you're a 4.5 or 5 out of 10, and then he rates you like a 2 out of 10. You might be like, what the fuck? I am fucked. And a lot of guys take this stuff to gospel. So I think that, yeah, my big critique of Waffles is I think he's being way too harsh on the scores. Now, I'm not saying he should just like give bullshit numbers to make people feel good, but I think this is not realistic. Like, I think if we take my photos, send it to a bunch of girls, most girls would say I'm a 6.5 or 7 out of 10. I've played this game with other girls in the past, and that's kind of what I always get. It's like some girls think I'm a 6, some girls think I'm an 8, but when we average everything out, it usually comes down to about 6.5 or 7 out of 10.
Again, it depends on the picture you do send to the girls. And yes, I do agree that some of the ratings can crush a man's spirit. But what I also believe is that it creates an opportunity for an extensive look maxing insight.
But here's where things get interesting. So this is the one part of the report where I think actually there's some value. These are my short-term looks maxing recommendations. Get minoxidil finasteride to reduce effects of balding. Okay, I'm already on top of that. Haircut is good. It's just called shape, so keep the same way. It looks best in the picture, by the way. Yeah, so I think my haircut is perfect for a guy who has some hair loss, right? You want to have a skin fade. That kind of hides some of the hair loss. So yeah, I agree with him on that. Style looks very good. You clearly know how to dress well. No changes need to be made here. You're 5'11", so wear shoes with lifts as it will bring you up to 6. So you can get away with saying it. I'm 5'10" myself. I personally wear Nike A5s, which bump me up to 6. Yeah, height increasing shoes, they're called elevator shoes, are good. I definitely don't think I personally need them. Like, being 5'11", you're already like above average height. But sure, you know, if you want to get like a small extra point, then why not? Usually I'd write 7-8 points on looks masking here, but honestly don't have any more looks masking advice for you. Seems like you've done most of it already. Well done, and keep it up. Oh, thank you, Mr. Waffles. But yeah, I mean, that is true. I have definitely done more looks maxing than the average person. I think that's part of being a dating coach, is like, okay, obviously we know that game and looks are a big part of the picture, right? They're two separate categories. But why not increase everyone? Like, if you just increase game and you don't touch looks, that's kind of like you're selling yourself short.
I do think that the short-term look maxing advice given was pretty decent. Saving the hair takes priority. I don't know why men don't wear boots anymore. I think they are stylish and they do give a boost in height, especially black leather Chelsea boots. I know people don't like to hear this, but there are some cosmetic surgeries that can be done. While optional, they do help. For example, rhinoplasty for the nose asymmetry, also reducing the nose weight a bit, blepharoplasty for eyelid exposure, and a hair transplant in the future just to be sure and to protect himself from balding.
Here are some actually things where I have some agreements with him. These are my mid-long-term looks maxing recommendations. Surgery-wise, I strongly recommend a hair transplant. This is one of the most consistent surgeries, and you're at a point now where you still have a decent amount of hair on your head, but clearly your hairline is receding, so potential is there to get a good hairline. I actually agree with him on that. I think if I got a hair transplant, that would add at least 1 point to my sexual market value, you know, after we get to 6 months after the, hair transplant. So I agree with him. I think that if my goal was to just increase my SMV because I was frustrated by lack of results, hair transplant would be my best bang for the buck. Other surgery-wise, I recommend a rhinoplasty. I'm no expert, but this is fairly non-invasive and has consistent results. Make sure you got a reputable surgeon. Yeah, I disagree with that. I think me doing a rhinoplasty would be hardcore overkill. I don't think my nose is actually losing me any girls. Sure, it's a little tilted. And I think that when you get to the hard plastic surgeries, like I would say that a hair transplant is a soft plastic surgery, meaning it's like, yeah, it falls in that category, but it's not really a plastic surgery. But once you get into the hard plastic surgery where you're doing face, the side effects aren't worth it, unless you're like severely deformed. Me personally, I broke my nose when I was 16. I hit against a bench, and my nose was like this, right? And I went ahead and saw a doctor, and he was like, yeah, we got to fix your nose. And they did that, so they did the surgery on me already, and it literally fucked up my breathing for about a year. I had about a year worth of breathing problems. My nose just constantly felt like I was out of breath. I would not wish that on my enemies. So I think that is a big mistake to fuck around with facial operations unless you really, really need it. Try looking at veneers to improve your aesthetics of your teeth. If your teeth are undersized, veneers can improve the shape of them. I actually agree with him on that. That is probably the second best thing I could do, is get veneers on my teeth. It will make my teeth look better. Yes, I agree with him. That is a good idea. I think that if I did the veneers and did a hair transplant, my SMV would be a solid 7.5, maybe even 8. So I agree with 2 or 3 of these suggestions. You can reach at least 6, absolute max 7 if you follow looks masking steps above. Okay, disagree with this completely. I'm already about 6.5, maybe 7.
Yes, I do agree. Plastic surgery can be intimidating, and by the end of the day, it's a personal choice that the person is gonna have to make. But we reach the point in technology where plastic surgeries are relatively safe. I'm not saying complications can't or won't happen, but they are rare. To be honest, I don't think his teeth are that bad, and it's not as noticeable as people think it is, unless they are severely crooked, but that's just my opinion. I think Wheat was talking face-wise when he said a 6 or 7. Now, to be realistic, I think the max face-wise is a high 6 bordering 7 with surgical advice applied, and SMV-wise in the 7 range, depending on the context.
If I do the hair transplant and I do the veneers, I would probably put my SMV at somewhere around 8, 8.5, right? I'll never be a 10, sure, that's true, but so this kind of goes into my criticism. I think Wheat Waffles is way too harsh with these scores. I was saying this earlier, and I think that, I don't think he's doing this on purpose, but I think that inadvertently, this can actually hurt some guys' self-esteem, especially the kind of guys who think that the black pill is gospel, who look up to him, to a God, and let's face it, a lot of people look up to us as like basically gurus. They think our advice is basically gospel, right? So I think he's being way too harsh on the rating, and what I would love to see Wheat Waffles do is compare his scores with the feedback of girls. So take, like, for example, any client he has and send their photos to girls and see if the score lines up. And I would venture to say there's going to be a 2-3 point discretion between what Wheat Waffles is saying and what the score is.
Yes, face ratings are harsh. You cannot sugarcoat them. And if you have self-esteem issues or body dysmorphia, then don't get your face rated. It will make the issue worse. And I do think that sending pictures to girls after the rating is a good idea to see how ratings compare to the person's performance in dating. And it should be implemented more in the future. That's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. A like and subscribe will be highly appreciated. And like usual, catch you guys in the next one.